Hey folks, I'm Josh. Welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a modification on this Opinel, and this is a carbon edition of the Opinel, and it's a number 6, I believe. Yeah, you can see if the light catches it right. That's a number 6, it says on there. So for comparison's sake, this is a number 8. So the 6 is a bit smaller, and this one is not the carbon. This is a stainless steel version, and this is the carbon version, and this one has a walnut handle as opposed to the I believe that's beech that they normally come with. So anyway, this number 6 I intend on turning into a little bit better whittling knife. So what that's going to mean for me is I want to round this back off a little bit, because in my hand that actually kind of hits me right here, which is not ideal for me. And it means that I'm going to reshape this blade. It's going to be a pretty serious change that I'm going to make to that. So if you really love your Opinel and the shape of the blade, don't watch this video, I will offend you. So the shape of the blade that I want to go for is actually kind of similar to the shape that's on this one. This is a flex cut Whittling jack, and this is the smaller detail blade on that knife, and I want to kind of mimic that. I realize I'm not going to be able to get exactly the same shape, but I still want to kind of go somewhere in that neighborhood. So to get started, I'm just going to kind of mark out the shape that I want to go for, and I'm just going to kind of look at the other one and just kind of go from there. So you know, obviously I can't do any changing back here because this needs to be this wide to be able to fit the collar and things like that. I also want to get rid of this little bit down here because my finger runs into that when I carve. So I'll be getting rid of all this. Get rid of this back here, and then kind of make sure that blade is nice and sharp, and I should be good to go. Tool wise, I'm going to start out with a Dremel cutoff wheel and some water to make sure that I don't overheat the blade, and then I'll probably use just some stones to do the rest of the shaping, and I may have to get out maybe the Dremel with a little like a small grinding stone or something to get that kind of round shape down there. So here we go. I think I'm gonna take some of this down a little bit. Probably, I don't know. Originally I was trying to save the label there, but I think that's going to end up being unrealistic. That'll change the shape of it a little bit. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'll take that off. And then the other thing I'm going to have to figure out, of course, is how I'm going to deal with opening it. So if I take it down to that small, if you look, if I unlock it here, when you fold this baby up, there's not much to grab. So I'm probably going to have to sand down a small spot right here and then give myself a nail nick or something so that I can get into there. But for right now, my way of getting it open is my pliers here, which I don't think I'm going to want to always have to carry a pair of pliers to be able to get to my knife. So anyway, we'll adjust that once I make this a little bit smaller, because I want to know how much I'm working with when I get there. So take this off and I'll be back. Alright, so I've shaped the blade. I think I'm finally happy with that, and so I'm going to stick with that. And you may notice I pulled the locking collar off. It was really hard to spin, and that's because some of the grime from grinding got up underneath there. So I've taken it off and cleaned it out really well. And my method for taking it off was actually this pair of what do you call these, ring removal pliers or whatever they are, just a cheapo set that I have from Harbor Freight. They're the Pittsburgh ones, so they're not very good, but they do work. So all I did was I just got the pins from the pliers very carefully on there like that, then spread it out. Now let's make sure we got it the right way. Very carefully slide the blade in. There we go. And got my lock ring back on. Okay, and it's nice and clean and it moves easily underneath. And it works well that way too. Okay, now we got to figure out what am I going to do to make this easier to get out. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to sand away a little bit of wood, or maybe cut it away, and then put a little nail nick right there so I can peel that open. So to put a nail nick in, my preferred method is to use a Dremel. But before I do that, I want to get away some of this wood so that I know exactly where it needs to be. So we'll do that. But before I do that, safety first, let's tape up this blade because that baby is sharp and pointy. To create the dent in here, I'm just going to use a utility knife. I don't want to use a really nice bench knife because I'm going to be hitting the metal here, and I don't want to dull up a good blade. So I'm just going to kind of start. So this line here is about where the edge of this flat spot lines up when it's closed. So I'm just going to kind of start back from that a little bit and take a little wood away. The tool of choice here is this kind of barrel-shaped grinding tip on the Dremel tool. And the reason that works out really well is as you touch it, it just creates that kind of perfect little indent that you're looking for in a nail nick. So if we look at the nail nick on this utility knife, if you were to try to mimic that, you would just take this and touch like that. So you want the handle going this way with the sharp edge so that as you touch, the flattest part of your grind is at the top so that as your nail catches it, you have the best hit there. So I just have to be careful not to hit the collar here and just really lightly create my spot, but go in steady so that I'm not all over the place and just create weird marks. I want to reshape this back here and this back here because they hit me in the hand kind of funky. So I've got the handle sanded down a bit, and I think I've got the blade to the shape that I'm going to end up with. So I took a little more off the top here, so I got a little more of a taper and I could get into some smaller spaces, and I like the way that's looking. So I think that's how we're going to stick with it. And it's a pretty good size in my hand, and I got rid of the kind of points that dug into me there. Now it's time for a little bit of finish, and so I'm just going to wood burn a design into the handle. All said and done. So you can see I wood burned a little design in there, kind of like how that turned out, and then I put on a coat of my preferred finish, Mahoney's Finishes oil wax finish. This is what I tend to put on most of my tool handles and things like that. So here's the end result of the blade. I got a nice nail nick with a little indent here that I can get to that. You can see just enough space to grab that, pull it out, still locks. Real nice that way. And again, this was a number 6 before I started messing with it. And you know, we'll give it a little test run here. This is just some basswood, and as you would expect, goes right through basswood, no trouble. Here's just a scrap hunk of 2x4. Nice clean cut on that. And I've got the blade down small enough up here that I can get into some smaller, tighter radiuses, because that was the issue I was running into, why I thinned it down even more, is that it was too thick and it was popping the chip loose because the back of the blade was hitting the wood and it was prying up, which is not what I wanted to do. So in a smaller radius, you know, now I've got it thinned down back here and I can get tighter spots and things like that. But it still flares up enough that I can get to it when it's closed. And then here's just a bit of cherry. Cuts the cherry without any trouble. Turned out pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's comfortable in my hand, small enough to fit in my pocket. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.